Assalamualaikum to our respected lecturer, Madam Irwana Nuridayu. We are from group KBA 2434C would like to present our group assignment entitled Human Trafficking in Southeast Asia. I am Nur Azreen Azira will talk about the executive summary. We have gathered a lot of information through the articles we found and were able to complete this assignment with the information we obtained. As a whole, it is good for us to do this assignment because we are able to find out how our own country and foreign countries in Southeast Asia deal with the issue of human trafficking, as well as to know that the role of ASEAN is important to keep Southeast Asia countries free from any crimes.
Hi, my name is Nur Amanina binti Azahar. Let me start with what is human trafficking. Human trafficking, otherwise known as a modern slavery, involves the use of force, fraud or coercion to obtain some types of labor or commercial sex as against the will of the person trafficked. Nowadays, human trafficking is a serious issue that affects Asia and even the rest of the world. Human trafficking is no longer confined to a single country but has evolved into a global activity. The growth of the issues of human trafficking began with an increase in the number of the job seekers, both men and women and even children, migrating outside the region and even abroad in search of work. In addition, it is more likely that women and children are victims since they are typically the most vulnerable and are targeted. Victims of human trafficking are frequently subjected to the mistreatment and easily exploited. Every year, an estimated 2 million people are trafficked, with the majority of them being women and children. You can see the diagram shows the Southeast Asia player placement in the Trafficking in Persons report. It shows in the 2018 report the Philippines was the only regional representative in Taiwan. After implementing various reforms to combat with human trafficking, the Philippines was promoted from Tier 2 to Tier 1 in 2016. About 10 million Filipinos work abroad, with a large number of them suffering from trade in sex and labor, mainly through child bondage in the Middle East and other parts of Asia. The Philippines stepped up their effort last year to protect the victims of trafficking in human beings. There have been 1,839 possible victims of trafficking, including 1,422 women and 410 children, discovered in the government. In providing medical services, legal help and other services to these victims, the Department of Social Welfare and Development also play an important role. In addition, anti-trafficking activities have intensified under the direction of the government.
Next, I am Minhalina Addini, binti Abdul Rashid. I will explain about the factors of human trafficking. The factors of human trafficking can be driven by several interrelated factors such as the impoverished lifestyle, fast growth of globalization, and the low level of education. Firstly, the poverty is one of the most significant aspects that have caused a growing numbers of human trafficking incidents. Generally, there are two views that are related with poverty factors, which are the supply sides and the demand sides of poverty. The supply sides means that the individuals across the world whose life needs are not satisfied and who have a limited resources to fulfill these needs. Meanwhile, the demand sides of poverty refers to the industrial, agricultural, and commercial endeavors that are illegally trafficking these poor people to earn profit. This is because people that live in poverty with inadequate resources and have a poor living standards are willing to do anything to earn money, and it will make them as a susceptible target for the traffickers, especially in the less developed countries such as Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. For example, in Rakhine State in Myanmar, traffickers deceive victims with offers of transportation to international job market, but ultimately force them into slavery or sell them to the ransom. Secondly, the phenomenon of globalization allows human trafficking to increase in a thriving, interconnected global economy. To illustrate further, according to the Walk Free Foundation's Global Slavery Index, in Southeast Asia country, Thailand is the primary destination for trafficking victims from Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Also, most of the victims that has been found sheltered in Malaysia are from Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam. Hence, surprisingly, a total of 939 employers were fined with amount of 13.66 million starting from year 2020 till May this year due to employing undocumented migrants. This happened because the victims are more tend to seek job opportunities in foreign countries to improve their lifestyle. In short, it can be said that the growth of global economy and the advancements of travel and communication as well as more worldwide engagement have resulted in many significant advantages, but it also have resulted in some undesirable or unexpected effect, especially in the rising case of human trafficking. Thirdly, the lack of knowledge suffered by the victims of human trafficking are arguably the most obvious factors in ASEAN countries. In fact, human trafficking victims are more likely to be found in rural areas with high populations of unskilled, poor, illiterate, and disenfranchised people. Mostly, it can be observed that in less developed countries which have poor education systems, especially in Cambodia, according to the ASEAN Post, Cambodians who are in schools are not receiving the right kind of educations to prepare them to meet the skills demands of the industry. Hence, the factor of limited educational opportunities lead to limited job options, which also can be the influence of high numbers of these unfortunate people migrating to other countries to seek a job. As a result, these people may opt to rely on agencies that offer the decent job to them, but in reality, these agencies are only aiming to use them as forced labor or sex slave. Thus, it is clearly seen that without an education of possible implications of their actions, these individuals are unaware of what employment awaits them and has plunged them into being trafficked. That is all from me. Thank you.
Now with me, Siti Zulaikha, binti Zulbahrin, to discuss about issues of human trafficking. The first issue is Thailand is a major provider of forced labor and sex industry in Southeast Asia. The majority of forced laborers are from Southeast Asian nations such as Thailand, which is one of the familiar with the issue involving sex activity and forced labor. Many innocent and naive individuals have been forced to be prostitute in sex industry or forced labor. These include forced child labor for underage people. Most of migrants see Thailand as a potential country with best economy that they try to enter the border of Thailand the best they can. This includes the initiative of traffickers in paying a huge amounts of money to fishermen that can help them transfer all the victims using their fishing boat to cover for the syndicate. But there are also women that voluntarily enter Thailand to earn money by being a prostitute, as they believe for promising returns. Voluntary prostitutes agree to involve in sexual activity for money, whereas traffic victims are compelled, coerced, or forced to engage in prostitution. If one goes to a prostitution place, one may believe that the prostitutes are on their own willing, but the victims have been forced with numerous methods that they have no way to escape from the sex industry. Next, domestic servitude is another kind of forced labor. As evidence, some domestic employees become victims of human trafficking when their masters use violent sexual assaults to exploit them. Let me share a story. A 14-year-old girl was hired from a distant rural region in Thailand for domestic work in the defendant residence in a case of trafficking for domestic slavery with brutal exploitation. She was made to work from morning until midnight without being paid wages, and no food supply was given until the exploiter was arrested. It shows how this issue has brought huge impact, as human trafficking does not only involve sex purpose but also forced labor involving child labor. The second issue is Philippines act as a transit country for sex exploitation and modern slavery. People are enslaved in terrible conditions in Philippines. Up to 100,000 young child labor in the Philippines involved in illegal sex trade in bars, brothels, and internet chat rooms that enable the purchasing and selling of sexual services. Individuals who have been trafficked are frequently forced to do physical work, sex slavery, or forced marriage. Some are as young as 13 years old, having been sold by their families or enticed by work possibilities in Manila, the country's capital. For modern slavery activities, individuals who live in remote regions are frequently targeted by the human traffickers. To persuade people to trust them, they generally offer jobs as maids, waiters, or entertainers. These strategies take advantage of the despair of many economically disadvantaged people. As evidence on latest issue reported on March 24, the Philippine Immigration Bureau announced the initiation of an investigation into charges that some of its employees were complicit in the trafficking of 44 women to Syria for labor. Human trafficking is not a simply a cross-border problem, but the activities actively all over the Southeast Asia countries which bring worries to everyone. The last issue is higher number of immigrants in Malaysia lead to human trafficking issue. Huge numbers of immigrants that enters country also has been an alarming issue to which they contribute to higher cases of human trafficking. In Malaysia, hundreds of Rohingya refugee women have been kidnapped and trafficked from Bangladesh to work as prostitutes in Kuala Lumpur, bring worries. Many of these women are escaping or suffering from terrible conditions in their native countries, which are wrecked by poverty and violence. To add on, it can be highlighted that some cases involving human trafficking, as stated by Bernama 2021, also involve the activities of using girlfriends or family members, which is local citizen, as substitute to settle for debt, which happened in Malaysia itself. Victims from Indonesia, the Philippines and Vietnam also have found all the way to Malaysia. Even though this issue has never been neglected by authorities, the cases involving these activities keep on increasing. Most attempts to prevent human trafficking have been done, but lack of data and statistics on the number of victims and trafficking pattern has made it more complicated. From the investigation that has been made prior to the issue, found out that in Vietnam, most of traffickers will move the victim to several countries for human trafficking, which also include Malaysia as the main destination. We need solution for all these issues.
Thank you, Zulaikha, for the explanation. Next, I will continue my part. My name is Nur Azreen Azira binti Mohammad Asri. Solution for the issue of human trafficking, ASEAN countries are very committed in planning to prevent the problem of human trafficking through various ways, namely by punishing offender and protecting victims of human trafficking. This commitment is stated in the ASEAN Anti-Trafficking in Person Declaration, which are particularly against women and children who are unintentionally victims of human trafficking. Firstly, to curb human trafficking in Thailand, the prevention had been taken by the government of Thai. Based on the anti-human trafficking, the government has setting up two committees at the national level in line with the Anti-Human Trafficking Act. The main purpose of this committee is to give suggestions to the cabinet on the government's policy to preventions and suppressions of human trafficking. Secondly, to curb human trafficking in Filipina, the continuing attempt to tackle human trafficking are regularly undertaken by the government. The government used law as the medium to resolve this issue. The Act of Republic Act number 9208 is known as Anti-Trafficking in the Person of 2003. These acts are divided by three categories for trafficking, which are Act of Trafficking, the punishment to the offender is 20-year imprisonment. The second act, Trafficking in Person, the punishment to the offender is 15 years imprisonment. The last category is Professional Trafficking in the Person, which the offender will be punished with life imprisonment. Besides, they also provide the Interagency Councils Against Trafficking 1343 hotline. The victim can call this hotline number regarding any trafficking that occur at any hours. Thirdly, Malaysia endeavoured to tackle human trafficking. Malaysia accepted the Anti-Trafficking in Person Act 2007 to control the issue. National Anti-Human Trafficking Council, MAPO, was established by the government in year 2008. MAPO is charged to observe activity that guide the administration of foreign workers into Malaysia to ensure that they are not exploited as a cheap labor or sex labor. Consequences of human trafficking. Human trafficking can be known as social ills in Vietnam, along with dirty social symptoms like prostitution, pornography, marriage, and extramarital sex, drugs, alcohol addiction, gambling, theft, and so on. Human trafficking cases will have an emotional and physiological impact on the victim, as it makes the victim afraid to socialize outside at the home and feel intimidated. Besides, children in Southeast Asia are exposed into the child sex tourism industry, and it causes many physical and physiological effects on the victim. Physical consequences include the result of physical abuse by captor and clients, traumatic brain injury, HIV/AIDS, venereal disease, pregnancy, illegal and unhealthy abortions, and death. Another consequences that occur in Asian countries is human trafficking has led to criminal problems such as drug smuggling. Drug trafficking in Asian countries has also result in a lack of coordinations and attempts by the organization to combat drug abuse in the regions. That is all for me. I will pass to the next presenter.
In our belief, precaution can prevent unnecessary action. We need to raise awareness for those who are lacking in the reality that we live in this world. Slavery, prostituting, illegal organ donor, and black market, these are not hoax, and so does the victim. We believe if the Asian community implement a new prevention scheme or update the old scheme into a new system to spread awareness, we believe it can help those who are in need. This commitment is expressed in Asian Anti-Human Trafficking Declaration, especially against women and children's victims, as well as the Asian Declaration on Transnational Crime and Asian Vision 2020 to eliminate human trafficking. Human trafficking can be prevented by using coordinated community-based measures that are tailored to meet a variety of vulnerable among various populations. This method has been implemented in many regions in this whole world, where the enforcer will take measure by using strategic planning to reduce human trafficking victims by deducting variables that affect the percentage of the slavery. As a result, policies are needed to promote multi-tiered primary prevention efforts that address known risks for factors for victimization. Besides that, what the government of every country in Southeast Asia need to do to overcome this issue is to give full commitment and strategy for the implementation so that the government's efficiency in the implementation system is not wasted. Its implementation should be complete and supported by systematically structured legal aspect, committed employees, and up-to-date finance. This is because without this element, it is difficult for government to attain their target in estimates in major human trafficking plan. Most importantly, victims should be given protection regardless of race, religion, country of origin, and gender. We believe that within this course of action, Asian countries and the whole ethnic community will be able to fight against this inhuman cruelty and overcome all the barriers and make all those victims regain justice and peace. This course of action not only guarantee the current safety of the people but also the future. And this is good for promoting empowerment for women and children and also spread awareness about inhuman cruelty.
Overall, what can we conclude is the crime of human trafficking that happens in Southeast Asia need to be addressed so that the crime can be curbed successfully. Human trafficking is considered as one of the crimes against humanity because this crime is an activity that involves human exploitation by means of violence, deception, or coercion for the purpose of forced labor or commercial sexual acts contrary to human will. Therefore, human trafficking is a punishable offense that is completely unacceptable and no one wants to be treated in a bad way. Traffickers have seized the freedom of others to be exploited for their personal gain. It is indeed very frustrating and unfortunate to know that human trafficking is still going on uncontrollably. There is no doubt and it is undeniable that if the issues are not taken seriously and still continue to occur, then there will be more cases to be reported. Thus, all responsible parties should work together in dealing with the issue of human trafficking in order to make this world a better place for all human beings. If the responsible parties do not take appropriate action on the human trafficking issues, the issues can become worse and more difficult to overcome over time. By carrying out this assignment, it has to some extent helped us to understand a big issue that is still prevalent in Southeast Asia countries. As we seek information related to human trafficking activities through articles, we get a clearer picture of many things, such as about the issues that arise due to human trafficking activities, the solutions for the issues of human trafficking activities, the factors of the issues, recommendations to address, and consequences of human trafficking activities occurring in most Southeast Asia countries. This assignment allows us to identify and analyze the issues that occur due to human trafficking activities faced by the countries in Southeast Asia, and we are also able to submit recommendations to solve the issues. Doing this assignment is very helpful to us because at least we can find out what crimes are happening in our country and neighboring countries in Southeast Asia by getting concise and accurate information through the articles we find. By putting many sorts of information in this assignment, we are not only done with this assignment, but we are also able to refer to it again for our future reference. That is all from us. Thank you.